The man says the fishing industry is usually thriving in their seaside town, but recently nets have been coming up empty. He mentions that even the fishing harbor to the northwest has been suffering from poor hauls of late. You hear a roar in the distance. According to the townsfolk, it is a very recent phenomenon. Rumor in the village has it that it might be the dragon. A troubled woman tells you that there has been a rise in thefts lately. She speculates the recession to be the cause. She claims that even the cold medicine she always has on hand has disappeared. She narrows her eyes at the crowd, suspecting there is a thief among them, and offers a reward for the return of the medicine. Your ears perk up at the word reward, and you immediately agree to help expose the dirty thief. I need that medicine back, she sighs heavily, a gloomy look on her face. I can feel the dragon's presence. I must inform Lady Winifred, the knight mutters. You feel impatient, determined not to let the order beat you to it. You approach a woman sneaking around in a corner of town. Hearing your voice, she turns in surprise. You see a vial of cold medicine clutched in her hands. You explain that the person she stole it from needs it back. The woman begins to explain her own situation with downcast eyes. My poor little boy is bedridden, she says tearfully. He needs medicine, but I don't have any money, so I took it. No matter the reason, theft is wrong. You ignore her excuses and take the medicine from her. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry, my boy, she whispers, her voice breaking with tears as she totters away. You feel bad for her and her child, but know you must return the medicine to its rightful owner. Now to receive your reward. The woman thanks you for returning the medicine and bestows you with a reward. Unsure if you made the right choice, you return to your journey with a heavy heart. The woman sighs in disbelief, wondering how someone could be so heartless as to steal the medicine of another. You set foot inside the inn only to be greeted with the great clanging of a bell. "Congratulations," the innkeeper shouts above the joyous din. "It would appear you and your companions are this inn's 10,000th customers. That means you've won the lifetime of free stays pass." "Here to stay the night?" the innkeeper asks the moment you set foot in the inn. The sign on the door reads, "The Great Nutritionist Oreo." You open the door without knocking. "Is anyone home?" you call. A muscular man emerges from the back. You politely ask if he is the nutritionist. "Indeed, I am the nutritionist Oreo," he answers. He says he has been studying dietetics here for many years. You hand Oreo the extract and explain that your comrade is now bedridden because of it. He stares at the extract for a long time, and then opens the bottle and laps at the liquid inside. "That's poison," Melanie shouts in alarm. The man insists that he'll be fine with his expertise of nutrition, and insists that knowledge is power, as if that will help somehow. Regardless, it seems he managed to grasp the composition of the poison with that lick, and starts concocting a nutritional supplement to counter it. However, he says he needs a spry fish, which has been difficult to catch lately. He needs a special fish to make the necessary supplement. When he explains that you can catch one in the surrounding sea, Riddis confidently interjects. She shows you a page from her ancient tome, which explains the ecology of the fish in detail. "That book comes in handy from time to time," Melanie remarks in surprise. Oreo gasps as if remembering something. He says that his son went out fishing and, with a bit of luck, may have already caught a spry fish. It sounds like his son is fishing on the wharf. You decide to go find him. You see a young man with his line in the water and call out to him. He turns around and flexes, shouting out suddenly, "Power is power." You stare, enchanted by his bulging musculature. There is no doubt in your mind that this is Oreo's son. He asks if you have business with him. Though you are pretty sure of the answer, you ask the young man if he is the nutritionist's son. That I am, he answers. He introduces himself as Bruno and says he is learning to be a nutritionist like his father. You introduce yourself, expressing to him that you are a hero on a journey and require a spry fish to save your ill comrade. His eyes begin to sparkle the moment you utter the word hero, and he becomes engrossed in your tale. More or less grasping the situation, he regrets to inform you that he has not caught any spry fish yet. He says that a monster has settled near their town, and its thundering roars have scared most of the fish away. You know Oreo needs a spry fish to make that supplement. Hearing the despair in your voice, Bruno speaks, his words like an ember in the dark. He tells you that there is a harbor near town where fishermen gather. Perhaps you can find the fish you seek there. You thank him for the information, then head to the harbor with your comrades. Just as you are about to leave, Bruno offers to escort you there. Is it a reward you're after? You are about to ask, but Melanie smacks you on the head before you can voice it and allows him to come along. Come back later. I'm developing a new supplement, he says, then retreats to the back room. You decide to leave him be. Bruno looks ecstatic that he was allowed to join your party. When you ask him why, he tells you that his dream is to be an adventurer and has thus been training every day. But his father, famed in the world of nutrition, forced him into following in his footsteps. One desires strength, the other knowledge. Unable to see eye to eye, the two fight nearly every day. What will you ask Bruno? Curious about his attire, you ask why he does not wear armor. He confessed that he once wished for armor, but deemed it unnecessary after gaining so much muscle. You ask Bruno about his sword arm, saying you are something of a swordsman yourself. Bruno replies that he specializes in hand-to-hand combat, then flexes his bulging biceps as proof. Apparently, he only carries around a sword to look like an adventurer. In that moment, you realize something. While his passion for being an adventurer is true, he is dumber than a sack of rocks. The words "birds of a feather flock together" run through your mind, but you quickly chase them away, afraid of what that means for you. He has been fishing for several days, having decided not to return home empty-handed. He hopes his wife and child back in Shoreland are well. The woman says she has been waiting here for days, worried about her husband, who has yet to return. Lately, a monstrous roar has been disturbing the seas and scaring away all the fish. He sighs, lamenting that his catches have been poor as a result. A rough-tempered piscator stands there, having just returned from fishing. Mars' fate rests upon this man's haul. Terrible, he says, showing you the few fish he's caught. Inside, you see a spry fish, Bruno shouts. You ask him if you can have the spry fish, but he says he won't give it up for free. When you ask how much it will cost, he gives the absurd price of 1 million gold pieces. You're heartless, Ridus pouts. The man is enraged by the rude response. Just then, Bruno prances forth and shouts, "Stop right there! Your fisherman muscles are simply sublime," he exclaims. He challenges the man to a competition of muscles with the spry fish as the prize. The piscator seems interested and agrees on one condition. If you lose, you must become my servant. This one's all yours, Melanie says, patting you on the shoulder. Then let the carnival of might and muscles begin, Bruno roars, completely fired up. Your puny body is no match for mine, the piscator shouts back, throwing a punch. A battle of beefiness. looking ripped. His victory sealed, Bruno strikes a glorious pose and shouts out, "Witness the power of power." Defeated, the Piscator hands over the spry fish to Bruno. Bruno extends a hand to the Piscator, who has fallen to his knees. With a serene smile, he takes the offered hand. An unspoken friendship begins to form between the two. Or at least, you hope that's what the prolonged silence between them means. "I didn't stand a chance against you," the Piscator admits, gazing adoringly at Bruno. As you near the boat, one of the crew shouts that you're in the way. You decide it may be best to keep your distance from the vessel. With the spry fish in hand, you head back towards Oreo's clinic. Bruno looks at your group sadly, reluctant for this little adventure to end. You hand the fish to Oreo and ask him to make you the supplement. "Give me a moment," he says, then takes the fish and heads into the back. "It's ready," he says, emerging from his room and handing you a bottle. You hope this will get Mar back on his feet. You need to get back to Unionville on the double. But before that... You wordlessly extend a hand to Bruno. Bruno takes your hand and gives it a firm shake. You can feel the bones in your hands splintering. You just hope Bruno has enough self-restraint not to shatter them completely. You make a mental note never to shake hands with him again, then turn to leave. But Bruno stops you and says he wants to journey with you just a little longer. But Oreo is quick to douse the flames of his desire. "You will stay here and study," he commands. "Then you leave me no choice." Bruno's expression reads as he raises both hands behind his head and squats at hyper speed. "I want to show this power to the world," Bruno proclaims to his father. "You have much to learn, my son," Oreo retorts as he starts sidestepping at breakneck speed. Only the sound of their labored breathing and bodies moving resonates through the otherwise silent room. You can only look on in stunned silence at the enigmatic display. Bruno falls to his knees, panting. "This is my limit." You have grown, my son, Oreo says, looking no worse for wear. So are you coming with us or not? Melanie interjects, ever the blunt one. Only our muscles know the answer, comes Bruno's cryptic reply. I don't get it, Ridis remarks frankly. On the condition that he study nutrition upon his return, Bruno is allowed to go with you for just a little while longer. You realize that these two have a very special way of talking that no one else can understand. Hearing yet another roar in the distance, you realize you need to get the supplement to Mar so you can investigate the sound together. Any travelers with magical little critters can stay for free, the innkeeper informs you. It appears the headman's long-standing pronouncement on the welcoming of all magical creatures also applies to you and your party. Thou found the antidote? Lappy asks quietly to avoid waking Mar. You nod, then turn to Mar. You help Mar sit up. Drink this, Mar, you say to him gently. He weakly opens his mouth, and you slowly pour the energy concentrate inside. Mar abruptly bolts up and turns his head toward you with a puzzled look. It looks like Mar is all better now. You give Mar a tight hug. Mar mews softly in discomfort. Overcome with joy, you sob and stroke Mar's head. Melanie and Ridis watch you too with a smile. Bruno is deeply moved to see nutrition bringing a smile to others. With this, you can finally put the happenings of that strange village behind you. You decide to take Bruno back to Shoreland, then continue your search for the dragon. At Bruno's house. Though he seems to want to adventure a little more, he reluctantly enters his house. You ask Oreo if he knows anything about the monster behind that mighty roar. He says that the creature nests atop a tower not far from town. With that, your next destination is decided. Here, you will part ways with these two, but you owe a great deal to the nutritionist and his son. Bruno looks at you, his eyes begging you to let him come along. What will you say? Let us defeat the dragon together, you say to him. You are sure his power and knowledge will come in handy against the beast, and you realize with a grin he will be so happy just to come along that he will not want a share of the reward. Bruno is happy he can continue the journey, but Oreo stops him before he can get carried away. You must stay here and study, Oreo says. Bruno explains that the journey thus far has taught him the splendor of nutrition, and he now wishes to travel the world to deepen his knowledge. After hearing his son out, Oreo suddenly removes his glasses. And in the blink of an eye, the flesh of Bruno's cheeks, pectorals, and abdomen recess. And Bruno is lifted off his feet with a dull roar. Your eyes go wide at Oreo's assault, which was too fast for your eyes to catch. Knowledge of nutrition can help save lives, but also strike down enemies, Oreo says softly. Wow, nutrition is incredible, Ridis marvels, not putting too much thought into the events before her. Knowledge is the true power. You tremble, never wanting to make an enemy of Oreo. Though Oreo still deems his son's knowledge insufficient, he tells him to travel the world and surpass him someday. Thank you, Father, Bruno says from the ground, moved to tears by the strength of Oreo's knowledge. So it comes to pass that you journey to the tower with Bruno to find the roaring beast. Yet another colorful character. out the enemy. You did great. We have finally arrived at the Tower of Legend. Is everyone ready? You ask with a posed look. Bruno is the first to respond. But this is just an old lighthouse, he remarks, oblivious to your sudden embarrassment. Riddis snorts to herself, seeing you red in the face from jumping to conclusions. And fight. fears this sturdy door has a magic seal on it. Unfortunately, it is out of her realm of expertise. Riddis rolls up her sleeves and shouts, "Open Sesame!" You swear you have heard these words somewhere before. You all watch in silence as the door stays shut. You snort to yourself, seeing Riddis red in the face. Bruno exhales deeply, then places both hands on the door. He pushes with all his might, his breath labored, chest heaving, sweat dribbling. And it opens. It seems the magic seal could not protect the door from the physical might of your most stalwart companion. This is the power of power, Bruno pants, but you promptly ignore him and enter the tower. Excellent. Good work. Don't hold back. You did great. Rout the enemy. Nice work. Footing suddenly crumbles. With no way of saving yourselves, you fall downward. Once more from the bottom. That was lucky. Congrats. Foolish humans. Did you come here to consign the drops of salvation to oblivion? The monster asks. It sounds like he is saying something important, but you do not understand it in the slightest. Ridis has given up on thinking and whistles an offbeat melody to herself. You have made a poor choice. Bruno is admiring his own muscles gleaming in the torchlight. You have made a poor choice. While everyone is distracted, the monster attacks. lucky. Something glimmers on the floor. Melanie suggests it might be money. You are instantly upon the shining object, picking it up. Melanie asks why you have such a fixation with money. We were poor, so you begin. Then remember being serious isn't in your character. Leaving your past a mystery, you quickly throw aside the shiny piece of glass and move on. Nice work. You did great. That was lucky. did great. The ground collapses beneath your feet. You fall together with the rubble. Third time's the charm. Oh? That was lucky. And fight. Let's do this. That was lucky. Excellent. You did great. Have you savages no mercy? The dragon's heart and body have already been reduced to naught, it says. It sounds like he is saying something profound, but you do not understand it in the slightest. Melanie considers the words, but cannot seem to concentrate with the oppressive heat radiating from Bruno's sweltering pose. Realizing the creature's words are beyond her comprehension, Riddis gives up on thinking and yawns loudly. You feel your eye twitch, realizing that your comrades may be the death of you. While everyone is distracted, the monster attacks. Though the battle is over, you cannot stop thinking about what those monsters were saying. Come on, we have to defeat that dragon, Melanie says assuredly. Why are you so obsessed with defeating the dragon? You ask her. She explains that her mother was killed by the dragon. She did not say any more, but her hatred for the beast was clear in her eyes. No? Excellent. Good work. You hear the roar again. It seems to be coming from the upper levels. Mar mewls, as if in response to the creature's growl. Enamored by the adorable noise, you pet Mar on the head. You're obsessed, Melanie remarks snidely, but looks at you two as if wanting to pet Mar too. It sounds like the roaring beast is close. That was lucky. The door before you is shut quite tightly. It appears to have a keyhole. The magical key may be of use here. You decide to look for another way to open the door, but nothing else seems to work. You insert the magical key into the hole and turn. You hear the lock come undone with a loud clank. The dragon may be just ahead. Now we slay the dragon for riches. On your demotivating words, everyone proceeds through the doorway. Excellent. That was lucky. rats. About the enemy. Nice work. Excellent. Oh? That was lucky. You have finally arrived. Before you stands the dragon you have been searching for. More assassins, the dragon sighs weakly. Whether or not the beast is weak, you care not. You muster up your courage and shout, "Prepare yourself, you big lizard." But the dragon's roar sends your bravery flying with the wind. Your legs tremble in fear, but no matter how scared you are, the dragon will not wait. It's kill or be killed, I suppose. "We shall strike you down," you exclaim, slashing out while cheering on your comrades. But at that moment, Vince appears. "You too would be troubled without this dragon," he says, standing in your way. "Stop spouting nonsense," the normally collected Melanie shouts. It seems Melanie has lost her composure before her mother's killer. She unleashes a fireball imbued with her hatred. But it is repelled by the dragon's tough scales. And the dragon returns the favor by spewing fire from its mouth. You seem to stand no chance against the revitalized dragon. Melanie looks distressed. Vince climbs atop the beast's back. The flapping of the dragon's wings sends forth one wind blast after the next. Stay out of this, Vince commands, then flies off toward the Western Sea. You worry for Melanie, who has been burnt badly by the dragon's fire. I can't get up, she whispers weakly. Drink this, Bruno instructs, offering her a small bottle. It will help you regain your strength. Bruno claims he drinks it every day. It is a recipe from his father, that of a custom supplement. Make her drink it already, you cry, your panicked expression urging Bruno to give Melanie the supplement. Melanie has a bad feeling about it, but downs it all in a single gulp. And suddenly regains her strength. At ease with her recovery, you descend the tower. The ocean spreads out before you to the west, whither the dragon went. Return to Shoreland in search of a boat to pursue the dragon. When you return, Oreo approaches. It seems like something has happened to the town. He says a raging wind blew through and destroyed the town. You surmise the flapping of the dragon's wings is to blame. You explain that you need a boat to go after the dragon, and Oreo's look turns grim. Sensing there may be a problem, you quickly make your way to the wharf. Welcome. 100 gold pieces will get you wherever you will be instantly transported to any location you've previously visited. Travel for 100 gold pieces? You turn the magical key in the lock and the door opens. You sense a presence behind you and turn to see a guard. He starts talking to you like you're old friends. He tells you this is where Queen Nilla used to store the royal treasure, but not anymore. So you see, you won't find anything of value in there, he finishes, and walks away. There's a scrap of paper on the ground where the guard was standing. You pick it up and read it. The guard stops you, saying you aren't permitted to pass. Calling all heroes. Whomsoever slays the dragon shall be handsomely rewarded. You spy a rather large number of monster prints on the ground. A wry smile plays across your lips as you remove the scrap of paper from your pack. You pull from your pack the note a monster dropped near the musty tower. You feel around in the grass for a few moments before your hand strikes something surprisingly firm. The scrap of paper tells no lies. You greedily open the chest. A violent wind strong enough to send a ship flying. The knight trembles in fear of the dragon's power. Despite the damage from the violent winds, he seems hopeful that the fish will return, now that the thunderous growls have stopped. The woman says the violent winds stirred up the sea, causing her precious ship to run aground. But if you can return her vessel to the water, she will gladly give you a ride. Your brows furrow, knowing that there is no way you could move a ship. Beside you, Bruno stretches, warming up his body. After striking a fantastic pose to show off his muscles, he charges straight at the boat. No matter how hard he pushes, though, the boat does not budge. It's pointless, you sigh, turning around when a muscle-bound Melanie stands before you. Now it's working, Bruno exclaims, unsurprised at the sight of Melanie. It appears the custom supplement she drank in the tower bulked her up. Let us combine our power, Bruno entreats Melanie. Her whole body racked with chills, Melanie screams out to the sky. You need Melanie's help to catch the dragon. You call out to her. You turn your earnest eyes to her and say, "Please, lend us your strength." But, unable to hold back at the sight of her impressive build, burst into laughter. But in the next instant, you receive a violent punch to the face and are sent flying. You hear your bones creak in a way you've never heard before. But afterward, the two muscle-bound forms work together and return the boat to sea. I will never be a beautiful bride like this, Melanie mutters sadly. You're wrong, Bruno exclaims. Those muscles are the most beautiful thing a bride could ever have. At any rate, you leave the port town and follow the dragon. In exchange for returning her boat to the sea, she says she will give you a ride. Her gaze settles on Melanie. You, my lady, are no ordinary woman, she remarks in awe. Just as you are about to leave, Oreo comes to see you off. It looks like according to him, the dragon flew to the west, where there is an island called Mount Medica. Rumor has it they are actively researching medicine on this island. He thinks he can use their knowledge in his work. Understanding his father's wishes, Bruno nods. Say no more. Mount Medica. Something stirs deep inside your chest, but you blame your imagination and board the boat without another thought. Wasn't that so much fun? Ritis can hardly contain her excitement as she seeks a similar reaction from Melanie. Sure, Melanie croaks, her face a sickly shade of green. The custom supplement has worn off completely. Ritis turns to you and carries on, oblivious. Wasn't that just the greatest? You, however, are a bit worn out, as your mid-voyage teasing of Melanie prompted her to wring you like a rag. Your first order of business should be a sweep of the island to ascertain the dragon's whereabouts. Tread carefully, as danger lies in the unknown. A road stretches west from the docks, suggesting the presence of a house or settlement at the other end. Don't hold back. looks lucky. Fortune favors the bold. Fortune favors the bold. You did great. Large boulders block the path before you. Alas, you must turn back. Looks like it's too early to come. You take the lead, taking in the island's scenery. It all looks unsettlingly familiar to you. A white-hot streak of pain shoots through your head, feeling as though your skull will split in two. You grab your head as if holding it together and drop to your knees. The searing pain erases any hope of recalling the memory that felt primed to return to you. Beads of sweat are pouring off you now as you struggle to keep your head in one piece. Drink this, Bruno insists, offering you a bottle of headache curative. You greedily drink it down, desperate for relief. The pain begins to ebb, and you hurriedly resolve to press on. picks up speed. A tornado is forming. You and your friends get swept up in the tornado. By the time you escape it, you're battered and bruised all over. Take pity on the creature and administer some curative. Able to move once more, it makes a clumsy attempt at a bow, and then it is gone. A monster appears. It sees an opening and lunges at you. Before it can reach you, another monster leaps into its path. Is this creature protecting you? The two monsters engage in a ferocious battle. You watch, perplexed. Why are they fighting each other? At last, the monster that first lunged towards you flees. Your protector, grievously wounded, collapses to the ground and is still. The creature at death's door hands you a small cloth pouch and breathes its last. You find a considerable number of coins packed inside the pouch. You gaze upon the creature's lifeless body. It looks rather like a monster you cured of paralysis once. The party affords the creature a proper burial and prays for its safe passage into the afterlife. Was lucky. Nice work. was lucky. You did great. Thunder roars overhead. Watch out for lightning. You and your friends are lucky enough to make it through without being struck by lightning once. After a time, you happen upon a village. This place, you mutter unconsciously. Perhaps he is as anxious as you are about this place. You two okay? Melanie asks. You open your mouth to reply, only to notice the ambush a moment too late. Repel the monster attack. Rout the enemy. Excellent. That was lucky. be able to climb that. You are accosted by a man the instant you set foot in the village. Medicine, Please, he begs. His eyes are glazed over, and his general demeanor unsettling. Should he really have medicine? You give him a glimpse of the medicine. Nothing in this life is free, you sneer. Your callousness is swiftly punished as the medicine slips from your grasp and clatters to the ground. The man runs off to who knows where, making noises that can only be described as inhuman. You and the party resolve to continue exploring the village, despite the unsettling encounter that just occurred. Something is askew in this village. It would be best to proceed with caution until you can determine what is happening. The man glares at you, clutching tight to countless medicine bottles in his hands. He insists that they all belong to him and refuses to share them with anyone. Another villager approaches you. Though his speech is slurred, the demand remains the same. This villager is also behaving strangely. Will you acquiesce to his request? You remove the medicine from your pack, recall for a moment how much it cost, and begin sliding it back into place. In the blink of an eye, the villager snatches up the medicine bottle and darts out of view. Something's not right in this village, Bruno mutters, clearly worried. You hear a panicked cry up the road. Stay with me. Focus on me. That can't be good. You must fancy yourself quite the eccentric coming here, the innkeeper drones, as if incensed by your very presence. Stay if you want to stay, the innkeeper continues, utterly disinterested in even attempting to sell you on a room. The old man sighs, saying he lost both his son and grandson to the medicine. Not wanting to be the only one left behind, he lifts the bottle in his hand to his lips and gulps it down. You ask the villager about the dragon. The headman can help you if you're in some trouble, she retorts, doubling over to empty the contents of her stomach onto the street. Dozens of empty medicine bottles litter the ground in front of this woman. This cursed island is separated from the rest of the world, she mutters from the ground. I heard that outsiders call this place Mount Medica, she remarks, then throws the empty bottle in her hand to the roadside. You hail the villager, only to receive a blunt, "Go bother the village headman with your chatter" in return. The villager turns to face the wall once more and smacks his head against it repeatedly. His forehead is soon covered in blood. You arrive on the scene to find a man collapsed in the street, convulsing. Another man kneels over him in an apparent attempt to provide comfort and care. The nobleman wears impressive white armor befitting a knight. He continues talking to the fallen man as he provides emergency care. Seeing the knight's devotion makes you feel a bit like a putz for doing nothing. You ask Bruno to provide some of his custom supplement. He furrows his brow and solemnly shakes his head. The villager is now clawing at his own face with his fingernails, crying out for medicine. Blood, as black as tar, begins oozing out of his eyes, ears, and mouth. It proceeds to leak from every orifice imaginable. The convulsions subside. Within moments, the villager lies still. A horrific thought makes itself known. This is the first time you have witnessed the death of a fellow man. Even in a world where medicines and elixirs can cure most any ailment, none are safe from death's icy grip. And as well you know, that which is dead can never return. Your mind goes blank. You drop to your knees in shock. Melanie clamps her hand to her mouth, stifling a scream. Ridis shakes uncontrollably. The knight hangs his head. Bruno nervously asks, "What are you doing here?" The knight's name is Sherwin. He identifies himself as a member of the Ivory Order. His travels brought him to this village where he has been caring for the ailing residents. His face contorts in disgust. If not for these foul drugs, they would be healed. He spits and takes his leave. Bruno gazes upon the villager's corpse with a look of apparent realization. You approach Sherwin, who is caring for another villager. Is every day like this? You inquire. According to the knight, an elderly man living just outside the village is typically the one who looks after its residents. You'd be best served asking him all your questions, Sherwin says as he returns to his patient. There isn't a soul about. The house is surely abandoned. You had best get out of here quick, she cautions you. If you stay here, then you too will, she begins, then suddenly starts cackling. A man approaches you as you wander through the village. Spare a bit of medicine, he asks genially. He sets about convincing you that your kindness will be returned tenfold if you just give him a little from your pack. His silver tongue would put even the best salesman to shame. You reach for a bottle of medicine, completely taken in by his pitch. Bruno stills your hand. I wouldn't do that if I were you. I really shouldn't, you yelp over your shoulder, already walking away at a brisk pace. You continue wandering the village streets, only to be accosted by the man once more. It seems he will follow you to the ends of the earth. Why do you want it so badly, you ask, affording him another opening. He gladly takes it. He first came in contact with it as a child.
His parents made him their
and never since forgot its wonderful taste. You are fully invested in this story and desperate to give the man some small comfort in this cruel, cruel world. You're primed and ready to hand it over. I've heard better sob stories, Melanie says dryly, having somehow absorbed the man's story, despite the blistering speed in which he delivered it. Bruno thinks you'd better not, but you're not so sure. You heed Bruno's warning and return the medicine to your pack. The man's shoulders droop and he shuffles. He appears to have dropped something peculiar in his haste. You knock lightly on the door. An elderly man opens it, beaming at you. He announces himself as Selfor and beckons you inside. Might he be the headman you've heard so much about? Ask me anything you like, he offers. Selfor receives your party, for whatever reason, rather graciously. He could well be a font of knowledge. What will you ask him? You ask if he is the one in charge of the village. It's true that the villagers call him their headman, but I feel compelled to correct the record and state that my official title is overseer. You make mention of the village's eccentricities. Selfor informs you that the island indeed suffers from an extreme shortage of medicine. He apologizes for the villagers' incivility. Consider it the price to pay for making the world a better place, he adds nonsensically. You ask if he has seen the dragon. Why, yes, he says. He returned to this island just the other day. Oh, but don't worry, he continues. He hasn't caused us too much trouble. Needless to say, this does not comport with your understanding of the dragon. You notice Melanie lift an eyebrow at his use of the word returned. At any rate, the dragon's presence on the island is confirmed. You quietly celebrate the first credible lead you've yet received. Your questions satisfactorily answered, you thank Selfor and turn to leave. He asks you to stop. We have yet to discuss the terms of your living here, he declares. You explain that you are only here to pursue the dragon and have no intention to stay. Selfor begs your forgiveness for thinking you were newcomers. It's perfectly understandable, though, what with the non-match among you, he says with a sneer. What does he mean by that? Melanie asks you, unable to grasp the old man's intentions. For reasons unknown, you feel the blood drain from your face. Your breathing grows ragged and you break out in a sweat. We're done here, you say defiantly, as you storm out of the house. Mar runs after you, chirping frantically. Melanie and the others give chase, but you and Mar are well out of sight by the time they make it outside. The two can't have gone far, though. It may be best to first search the village. The woman claims a silly man skipped by right in front of her. Sherwin is still tending to the villagers' needs. Melanie explains the sudden disappearance of her allies. They ran down the road leading west, Sherwin says calmly. Don't touch me, he shouts, threatening anyone who comes close. The woman stares blankly into the distance. At her feet lie dozens of empty medicine bottles. Melanie and company find you standing in front of a house. She can't quite make it out, but it sounds as though you're saying to Mar, "This place is..." Melanie calls out to you, prompting you to blurt out, "Sorry, just had a bad stomachache back there," in your characteristically glib manner. She surveys you both and sees two haggard travelers unwilling to admit they're in need. "Are you sure you're all right?" she asks, concerned. "Fine, absolutely fine," you tell her, perhaps too eagerly. "So you were worried about me," you shoot back. "No, I wasn't," she replies, her face reddening. You spot a familiar-looking mage on the village streets. Winifred takes no notice of you and ducks into the apothecary. So, the Ivory Order buys their medicine just like everybody else, you muse to yourself as you prick up your ears and listen carefully. Winifred and the apothecary speak in hushed tones. You'd guess it's an order for special medicine, but you can't make it out. Alas, she's just buying the usual stuff. Nothing remotely interesting about that, though her presence suggests that other members of the order might also be in town. With no desire to run into them, you make yourself scarce before she catches sight of you. Selfor doesn't appear to be home right now. You spy the very people you were hoping to avoid, gathered near the village gate. The last thing we need is a confrontation, you mutter, spying them from the shadows. Why are we always hiding? Melanie hisses under her breath. Two members of the Order are speaking with Sherwin. Given how deferential they appear to be acting toward him, you hazard a guess that he's their superior. Have you determined the dragon's location? Sherwin asks. Hedwin launches into his report. The dragon appears to be occupying the volcano. I suggest we move to capture him immediately, he counsels. Now who should appear but Winifred, fresh from her shopping excursion. Preparations for our journey into the volcano are complete, she reports, handing Sherwin a bottle of something. Splendid. Sherwin walks off and out of sight, the other three following close behind. Lucky for you, your hastily improvised hiding spot afforded you valuable information on the dragon. Yet their conversation raised as many questions as it answered. There was talk of capturing the dragon. Melanie picked up on the incongruity as well. The queen ordered the dragon killed, she reminds you. The medicine bottle Sherwin received is probably related to their journey into the volcano somehow. Bruno recalls seeing a bottle much like it once before. He says it contains flash freeze, which can chill most anything. Maybe that's what Winifred bought at the apothecary, Bruno continues. You know that the dragon is lurking in the volcano, but you haven't a clue how to get from here to there. Isn't it that mountain with all the smoke pouring out of it? Riddis asks, pointing westward. Why, yes, that sure does look rather like a volcano. You narrow your eyes. You three have no right being this helpful, you think? Mar pinches your cheeks without warning. You yelp in pain, which at the very least crosses dreaming off the list of explanations. Returning to the matter at hand, it's clear what must be done. You'll have to get your hands on some flash freeze if you hope to enter the volcano. Happen to have any flash freeze for sale? You cheerily ask the apothecary. She flashes a wry smile. How do you steady the roiling magma's flow? She asks cryptically. The meaning behind the question is utterly lost on you. She needs a password, Melanie mutters over your shoulder. The answer then would be the password. So, how do you steady the roiling magma's flow? yes, you'd think so, she says. She pulls out her wares, but what you need is not among them. Your password merely granted you entry to the apothecary. The old woman rolls her eyes, suddenly looking defeated. How did you know the answer? Did someone tell you? She mutters bitterly. You've managed to crack the code, and a bottle of flash freeze is yours. At last, you are ready to enter the volcano. You've got a long road ahead of you, so you had best be prepared.